And the focus has been to kind of look at the area that would be most impacting our neighbors from Sepulveda Basin. If there were a Santa Ana wind event, it would come from the northeast to the southwest, and it would be Encino and Encino Village that would be most impacted. So our first round of work is doing the vegetation management and encampment removals. We're well on our way. I'd say we're probably 60% of zone 11 has been now vegetation management, fuel reduction. And then we haven't done 12 and 6 we'll talk about. We have Hannon here from Army Corps to kind of report on that, which is great. All of the encampments have been removed. We have one repop in 12. It's one individual we see their encampment. We haven't found the person yet, but the park rangers are on it and are trying to find that person to remove them over in zone 12. And then there's been no other repopulation, which is really great. We had initially where the treehouse was. We went back 4 days later after doing a bunch of removal about 2 weeks ago. We found a whole bunch of wood piled there ready to rebuild. But we've removed that as well. But park rangers and security officers are patrolling on a daily basis just to protect the 3 zones. Zone 6 has now been 2 weeks of work from Army Corps, which is from Balboa Boulevard over to the bridge, Metro Bridge. And if you could go take a look, I went over there on Saturday after the Shine LA event. And it's amazing how much all of the detritus that's on the edge of the channel is gone. I mean, there's still a bunch of encampments that need to still be removed. Oliver, who heads the team, is saying that it'd be about 30 days. He thinks he can get zone 6 done. Rapid Parks is now posted with the metal signs, zones 11, 12, and 6. For no camping, no illegal dumping, no overnight parking, blah, blah, blah. So really appreciate Rapid Parks stepping up on multiple fronts. I did, at your request, check in with Rapid Parks about the right of entry for goat grazers. And Brenda Aguirre has assigned it and will get back an answer to us, they think, fairly rapidly. But that would be really great to get that done. And then I do have a quick semi-sad report on park rangers. So the beloved Andre Deacampo and Sonia Sharp, who were the ones that did figure out who the arsonists were in the basin, and over half of the fires that were started had multiple points of ignition. So we know it's very much, involved with having a fire bug here in the basin. They did go to the October 10th vote at City Council on the idea of arming park rangers. So their has been as the rangers for 9 years. They both put in their transfers to LAPD on October 24th. It's going to take up to 10 months for it to happen. They both have said if they actually can get what they think they need to do their jobs, they will stick around. This is a complex issue. It was a vote of 8-6. I think Monica was the only Valley Council member who voted against arming, which was atypical in my mind. And Kurt Price was not present. It is a campaign. You have to decide whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, right? I would have said it was a bad thing up until working in Sepulveda Basin and seeing exactly what their responsibilities are. So at this point, personally, I'm actually supporting them, and the mayor's is well. So it's a interesting situation on that front. And then I can talk about the 22 million a little bit. That's useful. That was primarily brought forward by Jesse Gabriel in his office. It's Prop $4, which means it has to be climate related, right? But it specifically talks about it cleaning up the Sepulveda Basin, which is sort of in a different direction in terms of it being, is it vision plan? Is it basically cleanup of the basin? the vision plan does include a $8 million assessment, or not assessment, but a project to clean up the basin. So I did walk with Deborah Weintraub, around in the wildlife preserve, and did see the two observation decks that are falling into the lake. And it's a $10 million project that they have focused. I've asked them to go through and give us costs for every single item of that $10 million. And then, there allows us to kind of think through. So I know Henry Stern's office is very much about vision plan. And I think CD6 really would like to have some that is kind of permanent, benefit. And I think the argument for it is that if we wait until funded in the future, it ain't gonna get done in time. On the other hand, there is so much work that still has to be done in the basin to actually address the basic needs of the basin.
Yeah.
So it's still up in the air. There's still conversations with Jesse Gable's office, who seems to be the critical person in this conversation. But I think some combination of vision plan and some combination of really continuing to move forward
critical needs.
What has to be happened related to the vegetation management, fire prevention, and other related projects. But CD6 has strong opinions about this as well, which they're into vegetation management, but they also want something permanent to result.
And do we think that this funding source might be available for the RCD resilience plan that includes the soil moisture during the summer for fire prevention?
It could, or actually, do we have a price tag on that? Because
we do have some budget estimate, but I think there's more needed. I think there's some budget estimate that RCD put together for their side, but I think BOE would need to come up with an estimate for any needed piping from Pullman.
Like rerouting pipes and building little weirs. It's simple stuff, but we don't do that. It has to be the city.
Yeah, the city would have to provide an estimate. So if not to implement, if we could maybe get a little funding to do a small engineering study on it or something, that would certainly help move it forward. Yeah, like a feasibility study.
So again, these are outside of my personal purview.
Yeah. I mean, we can talk to BOE about it.
So I did not understand the flooding, the shallow flooding idea as opposed to the moisturizing idea, which I kind of get at this point in July, how important that would be to actually prevent the fires, especially on the east bank.
Yeah, and if we didn't already, I can send you a copy of the report on that had more detail.
No, I think it's a really reasonable proposal. At first, it seemed like flooding it. Is it flood going to go into the lake? How does that work?
Yeah. No.
I get it.
Shallow.
It goes in the ground.
Yeah.
Now I get it.
Yeah.
So at least I can defend it at this point. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
In that same vein, and you have more, I don't want to interrupt.
No, I'm just Q&A, any kind of questions you have. I mean, I'm happy to stick around for whatever.
So something that we've had in trying to do some of the revegetation and plantings is basic requirement of the big sign. Where the restrooms are, break shop back, there's no access to them. And so we look trying to populate. So from the amphitheater back, so we very back, so where we face the back. Left.
Yeah.
You go out there, go along the fence line to the wildlife preserve.
Yes.
The very big dirt spot that keeps going back.
Oh, really?
And we had looked and thought about trying to do some planting in there, but there's no water access.
Yeah.
And so Superior, I was going to ask, is there any way we can get water?
Again, this is a Rex Parks question, but we're starting to have, we had a really good conversation with Jimmy Kim. Jimmy Kim is really gonna figure out what he can do in terms of the barrier piece. And he's also taken on the goat grazers, and he's also taken on a bunch of the requests that we have. We may need the Earth team to be back out there at some point with their tree pop. But he's been very amenable to trying to figure things out. So, that's a Record Parks question. And it wouldn't necessarily have to come out of the 22 million. I have no idea what it would cost. We have,
if the city purchased, probably the thousand, I think plumbing costs a lot, but the city, really, it's probably just cheap in tap, so like at home. It's just getting a permission from somebody to do it, or just having somebody parks to do it, to change what's in sprinkler systems. Tap it.
So the infrastructure is there.
Yeah, the plumbing's there, it's just, so put a hose on it.
I think it, this points up that the issue we've had where we don't really have a consistent rep from Rec and Parks at these meetings.
Right, we have no rep here,
Or
it's been months.
here or at the basin, which I don't know is again, it's a Rec and Parks issue, so.
I mean, we used to.
We
have
used to.
consistent, engagement, but this committee is supposed to formally in the city kind of charter for it. It's supposed to formally advise Rec and
That's why we're
Parks.
here.
So, and there was previously an issue with not having someone kind of high enough level attending who could really get things done. So we have had in the past, sometimes Wayne Neal has come, which is helpful. But, I think if there could be, someone at the right level who could actually address the issues, that would be great.
That would be great. I do have a question from Glenn.
Hey, Glenn. Long time no see, man.
There he is.
Yeah, Larry, if I'd known you were there, I might have. Anyway, I have another meeting, right? Anyway, great seeing you virtually. So I over the year, in fairness to Rec and Park, we have had some folks who have attended our meeting who haven't been responsive, and we have had some more recently that have been responsive. The important thing, of course, is they be there and they be responsive. I would say most of the time we're dealing with maintenance issues, and so it's good to have the person who's in charge of the maintenance side of things. I mean, obviously, if we've got someone higher up, that's great, but I think just the continuity and the regular attendance. So if you're putting pressure in from the mayor's office to Rec and Parks, the continuity of regular attendance plus someone who's actually in charge of the maintenance. And we've had that. It's just that they do need to follow up, and if it's outside the maintenance realm, then they do need to go to the higher levels of the other sides of the department. The reason I raised my hand was with regard to the arming of park rangers. And I just want to, for the record, because I guess this is artificial intelligence on the minutes preparation, so I'm going to enter it in the record. The council file number of 20-0190. And Larry, I'm just asking, despite my years of experience, on an issue like this, would the mayor's office get involved in with the city council vote on things? Is that something that, or is there definitely a separation? I mean, I know how it works on the budget, there's obviously engagement, but on an issue such as this, is it sort of hands off, or do you defer to the department? Can you advise on that, please?
Yeah, so sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes having the mayor's office involved doesn't help. Sometimes it does help. So, it's to be determined. Yeah. So I can't speak for the official position.
Would it help if we hosted tours, like you said, your eyes were sort of opened by being on the ground? Would that help to kind of engage certain staff that we haven't really talked to?
Yeah, I think it would help.
Okay.
I think it would help, and introducing them to Dale Conklin Sharp would help. Right, I'm sure they're willing to, go out on a limb and talk about what the actual day-to-day experience is for them.
Yeah, not in an advocacy sense, but just getting some familiarity with the issues, as long as they're voting on issues that are affecting everyone.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, maybe we can look into doing that.
And welcome to Chief Barnett joined us.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, I was at a airport call. In opposite direction, so
we didn't expect you on the day before Thanksgiving, but thank you for attending.
Yeah, the day before.
That was probably a big fire day.
Yeah.
A lot of turkey incidents. A lot of food on the stove.
You'd be surprised how many people turn on their oven for the first time this time of year.
Right.
Just now in Franklin Owens.
Yeah, using the turkey fryer in the kitchen.
Yeah, the turkey.
Oh my God.
Deep fryer is a problem.
you know, regarding the 22 million and the money, I think it's kind of amazing that the requests were done without really talking to us. It's kind of like, you know, you put.
Well, you're in there, just, you know, yeah.
Well, were the requests for an area greater than the wildlife areas and for issues that were beyond our purview?
But, you know, frankly, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, yes, there's 2 designated wildlife areas.
Yeah.
I consider anything that isn't built, paved, or fake grass a wildlife area.
Okay, yeah.
Tangentially. So, you know, I mean, right now, we're looking at what they're doing in the river. The river, it really is classed as ecologically sensitive.
Yeah.
I would think anything ecologically sensitive should come within our purview, and maybe that's something we need to discuss.
Well, are you in touch with Army Corps?
Yes.
I mean, Hannah's the rep.
Anna is on the meeting.
So it's
Army Corps has been,
Yeah.
very, very good in interfacing with us.
Yeah. So it's, as far as the LA River is concerned, that certainly is the right conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And you've been dealing with LAFD directly, right?
We've been dealing directly with LAFD. They have been great. I
Yeah.
think we've, got a very good cooperative relationship.
Yeah.
Not so for Rec and Parks.
Yeah,
They ignore us.
Yeah.
I'll add with Mark Parks, that
Yeah.
actually was on support for some of the work that we've been doing out there. So they used to give us materials for cleanups. And they cut it off maybe 6-9 months ago, maybe a little
Really?
longer, yeah. So when the previous individual hired.
Who was that?
What was?
No, wait, Neil.
Brian?
Yeah, Brian Yamasaki.
Brian has I don't know who replaced her.
Yeah, we don't have a
Yeah,
replacement.
we don't know who Brian is. But from what the maintenance folks have told the CMPS volunteers, that Parks no longer will give them bags for us to collect the lead material. And it's budgeted, but they will no longer diligently or voluntarily pick stuff up inside here. So if we were to bag 100 bags of leads in June, they won't. They'll in fact, so what is it, drawing a blank tonight, Friends of the LA River,
Yeah.
they were actually charging them.
Yeah.
So when they have big cleanups,
Yeah.
we would bring them all onto the park side of the fence, and then they paid like a annual stipend for one individual park. And don't get me wrong, it's a lot of work. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, one individual in the park, but I think what it comes down to is just our budgets just being cut.
Yeah.
So, but really the resource for what
But
we're using is very good.
So still having somebody to talk to is
Yeah.
probably the most important thing. So,
Yeah.
you know, unfortunately, at most levels in rec and parks, you're talking overtime in the evening. And so I'm sure there's an expense, but it's on the other hand, there has to be some interface. Yeah.
Well, we could hold the meetings during working hours.
We
I mean,
could hold them during.
yeah,
the
there's no
day.
rule. They have to be at 6:30, so.
That helps me.
Yeah, particularly since, yeah, we kind of serve to, you know, we're here to serve Rec and Parks, basically, which.
Yeah.
So let's.
Yeah, let us know.
If someone at Rec and Parks will be kind enough to return an email or a phone call, we will be, well, Brenda Aguirre, did get right back to me.
Yeah.
So if someone would say, you know. what do we need
Somebody's
to do?
assigned to it, that's their job,
Yeah.
that's the question, yeah.
So,
And this is an official advisory body that
Yeah.
was created, what's the authority?
It was created by the Rec and Parks Commission, and Glenn can jump in if I'm incorrect, but. I can't find the exact original minutes of it, but it was in the 1990s. Glenn's got his hand up. Go ahead, Glenn.
Actually, it was, you're talking about the formation of this committee?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was and this need to refine the detail. But it was when the state fund, I think it was state bond funds that helped fund the initial creation of the wildlife area initial improvements. It was a requirement that there be an advisory committee, and it was not created by Recreation and Parks. It was mandated because of the work to create the wildlife area. And we're not just to Recreation and Parks, but also Army Corps of Engineers. That's my recollection of the formation. I don't recall that the state required, I mean, I'm not sure who would even advise in the state, but I do know specifically that it was because Army Corps owns the land, the city leases the land. So I know that this committee was mandated. There was a requirement as a result of that activity back, and it was before 1990, maybe by a few years. Yeah, that's.
If you can get the actual bond, that would help me. Right?
Yeah, I don't.
It would be useful for me to see if in fact this requirement continues, right? And so the advisory role continues, but it's mostly about the wildlife reserves.
It was initially created specifically because of the wildlife reserve, the proper, it's basically east of Haskell Creek, west of the 405, south, et cetera, but over the years, obviously, we've pushed, but also there's been other projects like the restoration project on Bull Creek. So that was another project, and we were asked by Army Corps to participate in that process as well. And we kind of pushed, with some of the folks who've been on or formerly on, we kind of sort of adopted our sphere of influence into anything that was riparian areas within the basin, natural or otherwise. So it's not like we're the whole basin, but we definitely have tried to be an advocate for anything that contributed to the LA River, et cetera.
Well, there's a void actually in terms of advisory, so it's.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I think it's been a very important advisory group. I think there is, I will note, not a broader Sepulveda Basin advisory group. And so this task force is very helpful, but long-term, I think it would be helpful to have an advisory committee that is basin-wide, which could work with this committee, is made up of environmental organizations and is focused on the wildlife areas and advising on that. We've ended up focusing a lot on safety and other issues that are not really the purview of this committee, because in order to function as wildlife areas and serve the public, we have to address these basic issues. But having a committee that really had other key stakeholders, from the model airplane airport people to all of the different basin stakeholders in an ongoing way, if there was some sort of advisory body formed, I think that would be really helpful, like a formal stakeholder group. We have started a Friends of, but again, that's really focused on the wildlife reserve. So there's not like a Friends of Sepulveda Basin broadly. And the current Friends of is just an online group. It's not a formal 501c3. So there is a gap and a need for really a structure for the basin more broadly that I think would be really helpful.
So I'm asking something and wasting time here maybe, but are there advisories for other parks like this Hanson Dam?
I was trying to think,
Griffith Park has one.
but they're not an advisory committee. No, it's a nonprofit that supports many functions in Griffith Park, and I serve as an advisor to Friends of Griffith Park. Hanson has nothing.
Hanson is nothing.
And I can't think of Harbor Park. I don't think they have anything like an advisory.
Nothing like the New York
committee.
Conservancy.
Well, yeah, but that's kind of its own deal. Well, it's very well funded and.
It's centered.
And then you have the Record Park Commission, right?
But yeah,
Right, which is
there's
at large and not specific.
incredible wealth of documentation on the committee's website.
Yeah.
We have minutes going all the way back to the earliest are 1990, June 1990, and then every year since then. And the public documents portion of the website, it's not a shiny, beautiful website, but it's incredibly rich in information. It has all kinds of prior studies, again, all of the minutes, all of the information, various, relevant documents. So it's really quite a wealth of information from the Army Corps master plans to various, river plans. Everything that's happened in the past few decades is housed on our committee website as it relates to environmental uses in the wildlife areas. But again, one of the things we've been talking about in here is that there is not a Sepulveda Basin website to link all of these things. There's Lake Balboa as a park has a website. This committee has a website, but there, so there was that motion, I think by Padilla.
It's being developed.
That is being developed. Yeah, so I think that's gonna be really helpful to have
Yeah.
a central kind of information place, but
Yeah.
I do think having some sort of advisory or friends of group that was really basin wide might be really helpful, whether it's a formal group like we are with, Brown Act and everything. I don't know that it needs to be, but some sort of stakeholder group that then can, advise the task force maybe, or, somehow engage, might be useful. I think there would be interest, kind of a follow-up to the vision plan.
Yeah. Got it.
Okay. Glenn has his hand up, and then I think we should probably move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to fill in a little gap. I don't recall the year, sometime after this committee was formed, but when in the early days of Lake Balboa, the lake and the park, and lots of issues that folks, not just them, but other folks, the department, Recreation Parks, did create an advisory group exactly what's been described here. I think it was called the Sepulveda Basin Users Group. I could be wrong, but I think users was definitely in it. And it definitely included representatives of the golf courses, the model airplane, the fly fishermen, people who fish in Lake Balboa, the users at Lake Balboa, basically the cricket field folks, and obviously we were invited as well. So it was a very broad-based group, and it was actually very productive in the exchange of all that information from all the users there. And it was staffed by I think the title of the person was the superintendent for the Valley region. But just sadly, that person changed and delegated it to someone down the food chain, if you will, who ended up being in maintenance. And it basically fell apart. But it was created, just FYI, it was created by an assistant general manager of Department of Recreation and Parks. And I don't recall her name, but hopefully the Valley the Valley Region office may have records about that. But I think it was a great model. The name certainly could be changed, but it definitely was extraordinarily inclusive of everyone who who had who used the basin.
It does sound like it was sort of reproduced by the vision plan participation in some ways.
Yeah, the vision plan did bring together a lot of those stakeholders, but it was just for a particular project. And so there hasn't been an ongoing stakeholder engagement in that way, which I think would be really helpful. And I'd be happy to work with you in thinking about, and the vision plan team in thinking about how and when to convene those folks. But I think it'd be helpful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Cute.
I think we can let Larry go home, please.
Yes, thank you so much.
Now you have to go back to your,
I got dinner.
yeah.
I got dinner still.
Okay.
I kind of want to hang out.
You can hang out, we go have
Keep
chief,
partying it next.
but yeah, chief, what do you have for us? Anything?
I just wanted to come and say hi.
Well, you're welcome.
Place to be,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
We, I didn't even put you on the agenda.
No, I-
It was right
Well,
before
You
holiday.
can report and reports from government agencies.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, all I could tell you is that, we're continuing to work, although at a slower pace due to the rains. A lot of our heavy equipment and crew work gets diverted in on standby in case there's a debris flow, slide or something like that. They actually are very helpful in those circumstances. We all know that, but very much needed, and also build sandbags and other jobs like that. It pulls from the regular duties that we've been doing, but thanks to Larry and others who created the team that we've had, and we have the river rangers out there for, actually Chris List was out there.
Oh, nice.
They all did really good work. They worked really well
Yeah.
together. We kept them all in the same area. Originally, we were gonna separate them to see what they were gonna do, but actually it worked out even better to get hands-on training for everyone. And huge success. I know you guys walk there all the time,
Yeah,
but if you go, it's a much nicer, safer area to walk in and enjoy. And I'm very proud of the work that everyone's been doing, and I really enjoy the Encino Creek walk. I think that's a thing now where you can walk along Encino Creek and actually enjoy the beautiful creek that it is. It's the, and so anyway,
So three.
It's really
there.
incredible
Oh,
work.
nice.
up there. Yeah, I think.
yeah, and boy, Encino, that. To really bring that thing back from the 95% population of Shamelak in there is. It's a project, but it's amazing that I mean, it's getting light where it hasn't seen light for 20 years.
yes,
Which is
You,
remarkable, well,
you wanna talk about the bank shoving? Yeah, that's the last big part of what's happening.
next week, we are gonna be clearing out the Encino ditch with the shopping carts and.
Like 40 shopping carts buried
There's
in there.
40
Along Burbank and then near the golf court or golf course entrance, that area?
It's on the other side, the south of Burbank, it's next to Encino Creek. It looks alarmingly like Encino Creek, but it's actually a ditch, and it's blocked of all flow possibility due to debris, shopping carts.
It hasn't gone into the LA River.
huge out in the field.
Hasn't gone into the LA River.
It's supposed to feed into the LA River. It cannot do that due to the fact that there's just so much debris and trash in there, and we don't want that going into the river anyway.
Yeah.
So next week, beginning of the month, we're going to be out there.
Wow.
And assessing it to see what's gonna take to clear that out.
Yeah, so it's gonna need some of LAFD's heavy equipment to do it,
Right.
along with LA Sands and
Yes.
help.
Amazing.
We're gonna partner with- I mean, we've been partnering this whole time, it's been amazing, how you've been able to get everyone together and pointed in the same direction,
Yeah.
and it's so exhausting.
Yeah.
And so we're making a ton of progress, we're very happy with the results. And I am starting to see the beauty of everything kind of come together, and it's really awesome, so.
Yeah, I think I sent you some stuff from, the Army Fields. Yesterday, I did a walk there for the first time in 2 years. I'm gonna, have Anna speak, she's been sitting here patiently
Yeah.
for the Army Corps. I did go over, so Hannah, if you wanna go new, see. I was over there yesterday, I saw a lot of birds. It looked like there was an unfortunate incident out there yesterday.
Where?
6. No, it was, the Army Field area by the G Line Bridge.
Oh, just somebody that was unhappy.
No, it was real unhappy. There was a medical examiner's
Oh,
day.
really?
Oh,
Didn't hear.
sorry to hear that.
Yeah, they're unfortunate. I try to stay away from things like that. The guys that were working there, was 2 crews from the Corps working there, and,
LAP was not notified,
LAPD, there was loads of folks. You weren't notified?
I did not get notified.
No, there was a load of folks from LAPD and the medical examiner.
Oh,
Check the chat, Pat, in case Hannah's having trouble unmuting or something.
No, I'm here. I was just
Oh, okay.
waiting for Pat to
Sure,
finish.
Any
Yeah,
idea, Hannah, what that was about yesterday?
yeah, there was a unfortunate event, as Pat said. We did discover, our contractors discovered a body in the river. We are working with the sheriff's department, so I'm not sure if LAPD is involved, but our rangers did go out and check it out. And so we don't know cause of death or anything like that, but we are aware of this incident, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm happy to update with the rest of it if that's okay.
Yes.
We're better news, yes.
Yes, in better news. Yeah, I mean, as it's been stated a few times today, we are working on the cleanup, which began on the 18th. And we are focusing on the LA River from the Orange Line, moving down to Balboa Boulevard. I was out there on the 18th and I was able to chat with the contractor. They do have a biological monitor out there. She is going to be out there with the contractors pretty much all the time and then checking in here and there as needed. I did see her flagging native vegetation, so the contractors are aware of what to remove and not remove. Their City of LA Rec and Parks was also performing their own kind of cleanup in their jurisdiction that day on the 18th when I was out there. So it's really great that we're having all of this cleanup efforts in the basin. More on the Army Corps side, there was some debris in the inlet that we are trying to take care of next week. So I will be out there again to make sure that that gets cleared out before the next storm event, to make sure that we don't have any blockage in the river. And I'll also go up there to check on the cleanup efforts and report anything that might be out of the ordinary. In terms of master plan, we are still going through the hundreds of public comments that we received for the master plan, and we are hoping to have a draft out for public comment again in spring of 2026, but the team is working on an actual draft now. So we have kind of transitioned from going through the public comments and now we're actually addressing them and writing up the draft. So look forward to that. Yeah, I think that's about it for us. And any questions from anybody?
I do, I just had a massive senior moment. I'll let Glenn talk first. Glenn?
Hannah, so the stretch you're describing, I know we've discussed this for months, if not years, is it appears that folks are getting their vehicles in and maybe others, I don't even know, shopping, whatever, but through the Balboa, north side of the LA River, Balboa, and that gate there, that's just sort of a swing gate. But do you know if they're getting access for all their stuff through some other means, some other location? And I know we had talked about this several meetings ago about securing that gate better so that, once the cleanup is done, that it makes it, I mean, you can't stop someone from walking in, but, certainly if we can prevent the vehicles and all the stuff that comes with vehicles and the vehicles themselves coming in, So have you identified a solution to that?
I haven't in particular, but I'm happy to bring your concern up to our homeless encampment liaison, and our park rangers are a little bit more familiar with how people can access the basin. Yeah, that gate is not very great, and I'll raise that up to Trevor. He's the program manager for LACTA, and yeah, we'll definitely have a discussion on how to move forward with that.
Okay, thanks. There may be another point of access to the north from the sport complex parking lot, but I haven't investigated that myself. But it just seems to me all the time and money and environmental impact that you don't want to have to do this again in the near future, and if we can prevent it.
Yeah. Larry has a hand up here.
Yeah, so we've been asking Rec and Parks to do the same thing, but if there's a way that could be a combined effort. So yeah, so off of Balboa Boulevard, there's there's a road, but there's also a path right on the top of the channel. The path on the top of the channel is open, it's not kind of shut down. The other one, the gate, is one that simply has a padlock, and they cut the padlock within 3 days once they put a new one in. So there needs to be, it's not that hard to figure out how to put in a post where you can't get the bolt cutters into the padlock. It's done all the time. We just need that to happen. So we've been saying the same thing, right? In any way Army Corps can help on that, it would be extremely meaningful. Also, the entrance to the dam area, has very flimsy gates that also get cut. So there's just 2 or 3 gates that would be a huge impact. And then you're right, Glenn, to the, on the west side of the bridge abutment, there's access by vehicles. I've seen trucks driving in there and then driving down the side of the channel, down into the riverbed. And there really does need to be, you know, some additional focus on, finding a way to keep the car campers out of there. So yeah, those things would be extremely helpful if that were anyway part of Army Corps' mission. If there's any way to do it, it really is about protecting the riverbed.
Are those gates city gates or Army Corps gates? Like existing?
You know, they're probably city gates,
Yeah.
but
I don't know if it makes a difference. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, probably Recton Parks, but so it's,
Well, 'cause they're on-
I don't know if there's any way Army Corps could interact on some of that.
Well, they're flood control channel gates. That's what I'm thinking. And those I thought were kind of tend to be installed by the agency in charge of the flood control system, right? So,
Well, so a lot of these flood control channels are county. I'll
yeah,
have to do
public
some
works,
research
yeah,
on that.
figure out what the gate situation is.
Yeah,
But it would be tremendously helpful to keep people from going in with all their vehicles and
Yeah.
parts.
yeah.
I did think of my question, Hannah, is, do you have the, vegetation management in the South Reserve? Slated yet? And I did want to mention, last year, I know the vegetation management didn't work too good. I think about 50 to 75% of the South Reserve burned. Some of it, I know one was an area that we looked at that was being managed, and that probably had to close the 405 briefly when that went up.
Yeah.
So is there any thoughts on doing different management in with the vegetation?
Yeah, so we do have a vegetation management plan, and that was provided to us because of incidences in the past. So that is the plan that we are required to go off of. So it is a little bit difficult to deviate from that plan unless we do, you know, another environmental assessment or something like that. I think we'd have to reconsult with Fish and Wildlife Service as well. So that is something that we could talk about in the future and see if we can try to come up with, you know, a more like a better vegetation management plan. I do agree that it is quite limited. And yeah, unfortunately, we did have a number of fires in the area that we did manage this past year. So, but yeah, unfortunately, there's just not much we can do to deviate from this plan. I have to look to make sure which zones we are going to manage this year. And I can get back to you with that information.
Okay, it'll probably be in January.
Yes,
And, you
yeah.
know, that area is so infested with hemlock, I don't think you'd even want to consider putting goats in there to kill them.
Oh, yeah.
Putting boats.
No, the goats,
Goat.
Yeah, Pat's been working on trying to fund
Yeah.
some goat grazing.
Yeah.
The area where we would put the goats is not infested with
Right,
hemlock, but
right.
the South Reserve is like a hemlock forest.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice. But, Hannah, can you remind me the name of the contractor again? I keep forgetting.
In the river currently?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 24 HRC.
24 HRC, yeah. Great. And it's great that you're doing your own dump bins as well. That's extremely helpful. Thank you.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely good to have dumpsters.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I think moving ahead, we did go out of order here to hear our government folks speak. I'd like to backtrack on the agenda back to item 2. Glenn did mention that there was a couple errors in the last minutes. One was the date should say September 30th. And it did not indicate Glenn was present. So
And the time
so-
too.
Huh?
The time.
The time was in the chat. That was 7:56. So yeah, we're after Encino Neighborhood Council, add my name and the time join.
Okay, so, with those changes made, can we move that the minutes be approved?
I move they be approved.
And I'll second it and, all right,
She's talking to Frank. But we don't need to have a unanimous consent.
okay, it's passed.
It's passed.
All right.
Thanks, Greg.
We don't have, Muriel is in attendance. I don't know if Muriel wants to make any comments.
Not at this point. I will be searching my my computer and files for information about the formation of this committee. I think I can clarify, and I will send that on if I find it.
Okay. Thank you, and I will do a little bit of researching at the state level. I really didn't know we were created by the state, so I think we can all do a little bit of research on it. And I'm going to wait till Marie comes to.
Pat, can I clarify?
Yeah.
It was. I think it's more accurate to say a requirement of the state, but not created by the state. So, in other words, they may have said, you know, they may have said, "Hey, you Army Corps and you City Rec and Parks, establish this." You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and right, and maybe what I remember seeing on the website, which is an old document listing all the founding organizations, was in response to the mandate.
And I've read through all of them and I can't
The
find,
original.
the source. I can find the first meeting.
Steve might know. Steve Hardman, is he still around?
Of course,
Yeah, let's ask him. Maybe he remembers.
okay. I'll ask him. And,
Did Muriel want to speak? Did someone want to
Yeah,
speak?
if I may,
Yeah.
I believe it was mandated by what was then the California Department of Fish and Game and is now California Fish and Wildlife Service, that this committee be created to advise the city or Rec and Parks, one of the two, but it was a city level. And for many years, the representative from the Corps who did attend the meetings insisted that we advise the city as far as any direct advisory. But it's become much more friendly and open, I'd say, over the last decade or two.
okay. Thank you. Oh, I also will check with Steve Hartman and I think we just should put a memorandum in the permanent records as to what happened.
Yeah, get to the bottom of this.
So. Okay, we are. And I thank Anna and certainly Larry and Chief Barnett for attending. We're up to item 5.1 on the agenda, appointment of 2026 chairperson.
So I would like to make a nomination. I think Pat Bates, if you are open to continuing, I think you've been doing a fantastic job. And I would really like to see Pat continue. And in January, I would like to propose a discussion to amend the standing rules. I think having a longer term for chair would be really helpful. Having been the person handling a lot of the back end and handoff between chair to chair, year over year, it's a lot to transition. There's a lot of work that goes into it, all the documentation and the recordings and the postings and all of this. And I think it would really help our committee to have a longer chair term and also perhaps to consider a co-chair structure I know Pat, you've indicated it's been quite a lot to take on, so that would also perhaps help to have moving forward a co-chair rather than only a chair. So happy to discuss some of that now, or we can have a formal agenda item in January, but for now, I nominate Pat Bates for 2026 chair. If anyone wants to second.
Yeah.
All right, Greg has a second. There's 5 of us here to vote. Anyone in opposition? Including Pat, I think we're one. Yeah.
Glenn has his hand up.
Yeah,
It may be just a question.
yeah.
Glenn?
Yeah, just comment. So I think Norita is absolutely correct on the standing rules. I think Pat is fantastic, and thought kind of went through my mind, but the rules are the rules, and you need to change the rules, before you violate the rules. So that I just, you've acknowledged the fact that the rules, they were set up to be rotating. We have a list of who the member organizations are, and that the chair rotates amongst the various organizations. I think it would be a very easy change to extend the term from a 1-year term to a 2-year term, if that's what is desired. But at this moment in time, you'd be violating the standing rules if you
Thank you, Glenn. Given Glenn's note about the rules, then I would like to propose a special meeting in December where we can consider this more properly and amend the standing rules accordingly. We can figure out a good date, since the 4th Tuesday would put us into Christmas. Perhaps we can do a meeting before then. I don't think it needs to be a full-length meeting, but it could focus on the standing rules and we can notice it and do it properly. Does that sound good to folks?
Could the meeting be just before our next official meeting? Does it have to be?
Our next meeting isn't until January, and that's another item on the agenda for today, is to talk about shifting to a monthly schedule. So I think we could shift to the monthly schedule starting with December, and that way we'll have a chance to deal with the chair prior to the expiration date of the end of the year.
That would be acceptable to me.
Okay, let's try to do that.
Okay.
So I would say Tuesday, December 16th, even though I'll be coming from downtown and it will suck. That would be, not put us right up against.
Well, we can make it a little bit later, time for the meeting, if it's very.
Yeah, we could do like 7:30 p.m.
Okay.
Or if we want to be consistent with our Tuesday 6:30, I'm fine with that. I'll have enough time. I'll just be tired, so. It's
Well,
fine.
as you said, it'll be a short meeting.
Exactly. Well, I think we want to discuss the standing rules fairly robustly, but yes, it doesn't need to be a 2-hour
I'll
meeting.
say it's potentially a short meeting.
Okay, let's go 6:30, December 16th, and we will focus on special meeting on the standing rules. It sounds like there may be a couple things we need to amend.
I think there's more than one thing that needs to be amended in there.
I think so too.
Sounds good.
Okay, so
Standing rules list, would it be possible for us to all sort of see them?
Yes, we
What's
can.
the history
We
on
can
it?
distribute the current mission and the standing rules. The standing rules were updated a little bit in 2023, so not that long ago, but
wait, they were
yeah.
21, I've got.
Oh, I have a 2023.
You need to send that. I've been hunting all over.
Sorry, I just,
The ones on the website are way out of date.
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry. The date of this document is 2023, but it is not an update. Anyway, I'll get you the most up-to-date version.
And, okay,
And the,
all right, so with the,
2021 maybe.
I will send, I'll get the agenda done for that
Great.
before the meeting. At least the memo with the documents we're gonna be looking at. So we're doing that. I would like for 5.2, I would like to resume meeting monthly, with regular meetings, which is in accordance with the standing rules. And I did look at all those dates, none of them seem to conflict with a holiday. The reason I'm proposing this is, there's a lot going on. We've got the city working on, significant monetary grants and other things that affect our area. And if we don't have anything to look at, we simply cancel it for that month.
I think that sounds great.
So is there any objection to going to monthly?
Did we ever change to bi-monthly in the standing rules? Will this
You
need to
never
be
changed
something-
the standing rules. You had a meeting and
Okay, so the
decided,
standing rules still say monthly?
you had a meeting in 2021 and decided to meet every other month.
Okay, well, in that case,
Glenn?
I mean, I think we kind of informally decided that we would, again, informally have those alternate dates available as an as-needed basis, but that just back in the time back then. What I wanted to say was, since we're having such difficulty getting, especially the city reps, that moving ahead with this schedule, I have no objection to it, but I do think that until we are in a place where we can get somebody at every meeting, I would recommend that you designate a try to get an agreement from the city, or for that matter, any of the other department reps like Army Corps, although they may be here all the time, so that you know ahead of time that, if it's the January meeting, the February meeting, if it's every other month, whatever it is, so that the things could be agendized corresponding with the folks showing up. Because I have a feeling when they hear it every single month, they may just say, we're not going to show up at all. And that would be my alternative to try to get them there.
Yeah, I think one of the things we're facing right now that is new for this committee, and a very good problem to have, is that a task force has been established focused on the Sepulveda Basin with key high-level members of the city. And thankfully, Pat as the chair and myself with my dual hat as commissioner of LADWP and a member of this committee have been included in those meetings. But I think there may be a relationship here between the lack of Rec and Parks membership here, because Rec and Parks is probably focusing their resources on the mayor's office convened Sepulveda Basin Task Force, which is not such a terrible thing. So I think we can ask them to send someone here, but it also may be that, like the rules here are that, or our mission is that this committee advises Rec and Parks. That does not necessarily mean that Rec and Parks has to be here for every meeting. It could mean that the chair liaisons with Rec and Parks in the mayor's office and the Sepulveda Basin Task Force, which Pat is currently doing. So, I think we can ask for their presence, but I don't think if they are not here, that means we can't work and advise them. It could be that, as we've discussed before, that we try and have regular meetings with upper level management of Rec and Parks, Matt or Jimmy. And really, I think with the mayor's office attention on the basin for the first time, we can actually elevate these recommendations and the advisory nature of our committee in a different way. So I think, Glenn, your point well taken. I think we can inform them of the meetings and encourage them to send a member. But I think there are other ways for us to ensure that the input of this committee reaches Rec and Parks.
Very definitely. And actually, when we have had the meetings minus the Rec and Parks people, I have sent them the minutes and emphasized what we discussed that they should be aware of.
Yeah.
Not that I get a reply back, but.
Yeah. I think we do want to push for a reply and engagement and some meetings.
Yeah, I don't particularly care if they're here or not, but I would like them to acknowledge we exist and we're doing something. Yeah. And we're making recommendations like the very next one.
Exactly. Now, I do want to make a note that, Larry has now been engaged on the history of the committee. And it sounds like he was going to inquire as to whether this committee really still has jurisdiction, which I'm slightly concerned about. I think if it turns out it doesn't, then we really need to discuss, I think, a new formal committee and a new formal charge. I think this committee's been very important, and having all of these environmental organizations engaged in the basin in a formal way is a big deal. And so if the basin structure changes and there's a new committee, or they decide this committee doesn't actually still have a formal charge under the Brown Act and everything, like as a city body, then we need to make sure that we, find a new format or a new continuity. There are so many stakeholders in the basin. And I do think, as I mentioned to Larry, that we need a broader group as well. But the wildlife area is a really critical biodiversity area, and the input of the environmental experts in this group, I think, is really critical to continue. So my hope is that with this basin task force, that this committee could stop dealing with a lot of the enforcement and homelessness and everything else that we've been dealing with, and actually focus on the charge of this committee, which is really the ecological health of the basin. So I think that would be a great and welcome transition. I think we just need to work closely with the task force and all of these folks to ensure that that environmental piece doesn't get lost in the flurry of focus on homelessness and.
Well, for sure, but this is an opportunity that's very fortunate.
Absolutely. I think so too. So I think, you know, we may have some changes here that are beyond just a small tweak to the standing rules, but for now, we should, you know, get the standing rules updated in December. And then, you know, maybe continue these discussions with the city about how the wildlife areas fit into the broader planning for the basin, the vision plan, everything that's going on, which is a lot right now.
I also will just say, I don't want the city to think of this group as like a bunch of environmentalists, because we're not just talking about like environmentalist issues. We're talking about how to manage this complex area that is a wildlife area, but law enforcement issues happen there, fire issues, public safety, all that stuff happen there. So it's, we're not just ecological experts.
Well, yes, but I think we've dealt with so many of that issues because there was a gap. And now that the city has the correct agencies stepping up, LAFD, LAPD, LASA, we want them to liaise with us when issues come up, but we have spent hours and hours of our time trying to deal with issues like fire and homelessness that the task force can now really handle in the right way. And we don't have all of the right members.
Well, that's a bigger discussion. I mean, I think that's worth having.
Yeah.
But I think it's
a discussion.
let's talk about it at like our special meeting or next meeting.
And just to be clear, we have a formal mission, and the formal mission has a focus. So I think, you know, we should revisit that mission of the committee and, you know, just really look at it and say, how far have we had to drift because of the leadership gap that maybe we can now refocus a little bit? You know, we do have some really key environmental orgs here, and I think our focus on the restoration projects and everything, we should be able to, when there are issues of enforcement and homelessness and encampments, just report them to the task force and hand it off. Exactly. Like we should not be in the weeds of that in this group, because there are important issues of restoration and education and everything that these, you know, FOLAR and Audubon and CNPS and everybody is doing that are really important. So I just don't want that stuff to get lost in whatever new structures emerge for the Sepulveda Basin and as we plan the future. I think those voices are important. So anyway, that's my take.
Well, okay, so
Monthly meetings approved, starting with December 16th.
I want my damn no fishing signs back.
Yeah.
We've got rampant fishing, we've got now one great blue heron and one mallard with sublingual oral fistulae, which must be very painful. They seem to be surviving, but it's just ridiculous. There's people fishing constantly, and you need the signs there with the municipal code, and they need to be ticketed, and so we've got I'm just you know, we've got some proposals, and I'm hoping that these are things that are going to be factored in when we've got money coming into this area. The wildfire resilient habitat plan, which came from RCD, and what that would involve would be, I'll explain it. Dan, maybe I should let Dan explain it, but it's basically taking some of our fairly large areas, regrading a little bit, putting, you know, and shallowly flooding it. And what it does is it increases the soil moisture, which increases the live fuel moisture in the weeds. It makes it much less flammable. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
And it would not require major, I guess, I believe a little grading and a little purple pipe coming in.
Yep. And
it could be done with a large area, correct?
Yep, that's it.
Because we've got, in the basin, we've got about like four significant areas with enough acreage to really make it a doozy of a fire. You've got one west of, Balboa, then you've got the airplane field, which is about 75 acres, about 50 between Woodley and the wildlife lake, and maybe 40 on the east side of the wildlife lake. So, you know, one of those areas, probably I'm thinking maybe the area between Woodley and the lake might be good for the flooding.
Yeah, so we identified that area. We identified the east field, which is east of the lake. And we also talked about a portion of the eastern model airplane field,
Yeah.
which already floods. But yeah, I don't know that we need to like keep discussing it. It's the plans out there and
Hopefully it can happen.
yeah,
It would certainly be good for a project and I think that these areas really kind of are, we should use them for an experiment.
yeah.
Mhm.
That's what we all wanna do.
Pat, if I can write, Dan, have we ever ascertained like where the purple pipe runs currently?
Yeah,
Like,
it's in our report.
maybe a source of water from, like if there's like fire hydrants, like I don't know where fire hydrants are.
We're not, and it's no longer a sustainable plan if we
Yeah.
use potable water, so
Yeah.
that's not.
We're using
that's
Tillman
not-
water.
This is recycled.
So right now, Tillman water goes into the LA River, and so this is just envisioning diverting a bit of that shallow flooding / moistening the soil and then letting it run off, either run subterranean or run off into the existing creeks back in the LA River. So it's kind of intercepting its current dumping in the LA River.
But I do think we need a more detailed feasibility plan on
Yeah,
this.
we need an engineering plan from the city.
We need the engineering plan for the piping, but we actually also need a study. I do want to note that with the new Tillman plant, which is going to capture and use more water.
All right.
There is a slight reduction in the water that is going to the river, and Fuller and consultants are kind of working on ensuring that the right flows are there for the river. So if this is diverting what would be going to the river, to the extent that some of that then soaks into the soil and takes a slower path back into the waterways, I do think that needs to be really evaluated and considered in terms of what the river flows are. So
It's a conceptual plan right now that needs to be filled in.
yeah, it needs to be a feasibility plan now or a more detailed engineering plan. So getting funding for that or support for that is an important next step. So I'm glad that Larry understands that and is.
Yeah, and then so that's good, on the goats. I think actually, you know, not being able to do the fall graze is probably fortunate. And the stuff is growing like crazy now, and I think a midwinter graze would be great. And I reckon Brenda Aguirre at Brecken Parks did get back to me, and they are looking at the proposal now. And Audubon still stands ready to fund it. And controlled burns, I still would like to see that. It'd be great to bring the burn bot in and put burn a grid somewhere. And I will say that, you know, that area on the east field, that is burned. At least a big chunk of it is like really burned significantly, time after time, and it seems to have kind of abated
Slows it down.
the invasives in there. Because I look in there now and it's nowhere near as brushy and green as everything else.
Yeah.
And there's the soil's a little different. It's more alluvial cobble. There's also some patches of native alluvial shrubs in there, like golden currant and things.
Mhm.
So it is pretty different from.
It's a little different, but it's certainly, I mean, there's been some pretty decent fires in there and it just.
The fires actually are what allowed us to put the plants in some areas that when you visited that time, that all had burned 6 months prior, and I mean, we had no plan for that to plant into it prior to that, but it was the fires that sort of put it up. I mean, it did like 3 years worth of work and. Oh, yeah.
In no time.
The accident.
It was so funny, I went over there right after that fire and they were almost parked on your plants you just put in and I got them both.
We were cranky that they drove a tractor through part of the planting area, just didn't know where to go, but. LAP. Yeah, well, whoever it was that brought the tractor. Yeah, it's like weirdly enough, it actually missed most of it. So,
No, it was, and you know, I explained to the guys that they were with one of. They were there with one of the engines, I forget which station, but they were, you know, they're waiting for the water tender to come in. So,
Better signage next time.
yeah,
A caution tape.
I'm going to try to talk with someone. Signage,
Mhm.
getting people. For example, along Woodley, not considering the airplane area. Along Woodley, you've got 5 or 6 parking lots. You've got one that's north of Wildlife Way, and then on Wildlife Way, say there's 5 in there. I did an evening bird walk there last week. I very explicitly said park in the first lot when you come in. To Wildwood, I had detailed instructions, people were everywhere.
Yeah.
They were everywhere, they couldn't figure it out. You know, and it had a map, it had coordinates. A lot of these people have flip phones. What would be wrong with having lot 1, lot 2, or Woodley 1, Woodley 2, Woodley 3? This is a constant source of frustration and angst.
We'll put on the list.
Oh, man. I'm telling you, I would donate the money for the freaking signs. It is so frustrating.
Well, maybe we should use the consortium.
Huh?
That maybe we should use this consortium money for that.
Yeah,
I imagine they want wayfinding done first to figure out, you know, what the best ways are to do it, but even simple signs like that, yeah.
yeah. And if it's right by where you drive into the parking lot and it says Woodley Lot 1.
Yep.
And you've been told to go to Woodley Lot 2, it might dawn on you it's the wrong lot.
I wonder if the council district, we were to sort of lean in and talk to them about it, I wonder if they would be able to do more.
Oh,
Yeah. So, you know.
this, you know, Rec and Parks has their own sign printing shop and everything.
They would just defer to
Mhm.
Rec and Parks, I think.
I think they would, but I'm saying.
And they don't have
Don't
much-
apply pressure.
Yeah.
In general, yes, I think there's a need for that kind of signage, and then as we talked about before, we suggested emergency signage, and so maybe from a safety perspective. Again, we can push this idea of having some large numbered signs around the basin so that, God forbid something happen, people can share where they are, because I know I've told this story before, but there was a woman who was assaulted. And I ran into her while walking in the basin. She was on the phone with LAPD trying to explain to them how to find her and didn't know how.
Well, they'll never.
So I walked her out. I got on the phone with LAPD. I told them a meeting spot. I walked her out of the wildlife area and, you know, helped her connect with police. But if we had signs that were visible, like in a Disney parking lot, here's
Like
a
the
big
zoo.
1, here's a big
Yeah.
2, you can say,
Or-
I'm closest to this sign,
what
go
3
stand by the
words?
sign.
The what 3 words?
Well, what 3 words is great, but the public won't know how to use that, and so I do think.
If
Two
you call
different-
911 and tell them.
No, but
Yeah.
we're talking about 2 different things. One is locating which parking lot to go to. The other is emergency.
Yeah.
So-
But you could kill. What's a better non-bird killing? You
Yes, you
can
could.
feed 2 birds with 1
2
whatever.
rats with
Yeah.
1.
Yeah, exactly.
One
You
shovel.
can kill 2 invasive plants with 1 shovel. If you know, if you had large numbers around that were for referring to areas, and 2 of them can be at parking lots, that's great. You know, you can say, look for the large number 1, look for the large number 2, like, you
We've
know.
already got the regions. Well, maybe that's something you can push to the task force. Now they have the task force and say, you guys figure it out.
Well, we added it to the like financial needs.
Oh, good.
For their consideration.
Oh, perfect.
So I think this parking signage thing could be part of that.
We did it, yeah, okay, so anyhow. Yeah, so our evening, yeah,
Sorry, is there a trail map that everybody uses?
No.
Like a
Mhm.
Official one, not really.
Not really.
Hiking app or?
No, I've never even seen an unofficial one.
Yeah.
And this was an issue at Griffith Park, and Friends of Griffith Park, their first action was to create trail maps and trail signage.
Yeah,
Like that was such a high priority.
That would give you
We
mile
do
markers
need it.
on trail, whatever,
Yeah.
I'm on the Woodley Trail, mile marker.
And they worked closely with Rec and Parks to do it. So I can put you in touch with Jerry. I mean, Jerry knew exactly how to do this. This was a major push.
And they did,
And
you know,
they did it. They
they
didn't
did
push
it.
back. Yes.
they did it out at Anson, they're all destroyed now.
Well, there's that, but they still did it and they have to replace them regularly, but there's funding for that. So.
exactly. I will say though, I'm pretty sure that Friends of Griffith Park funded a
They
lot of
did.
this stuff.
Yeah.
And so since
This-
we don't have like
That.
a funding source,
No.
except a little bit of funds from, San Fernando Valley Audubon sometimes, we would have to, again, either get support from the task force that this gets to be part of the beautification funding, or we need to find some other money because Rec and Parks is not gonna have the money.
I think
Like
they
the
could
city is in a
beautiful.
deficit and, yeah.
But I don't know that funding was the barrier in creating the Griffith Park. I
Mm.
think there was a lot of inertia that was overcome.
Right,
by
Jerry
funds.
could help us deal with like
How to do it.
how to do it, but we just need to have a funding source in mind.
Right.
Because that's gonna be the wall we'll hit. If Rec and Park says, oh, yes, we need this signage, but we have no money, we need to be prepared to raise that money from the community or otherwise get funding.
When I had a conversation with Jerry a while ago about the Friends idea, Steve Hartman floated it to me to do a Friends group. In that conversation with them, essentially, what I took away from it, I think what he was trying to say, is by formalizing into a Friends group, it sort of changes the context of what we're doing in there. And then a lot of the things that are sort of happening with different organizations, some become formalized. And so requiring insurances, right of access, this and that. And so it does start becoming a much more consumer endeavor in the sense of having to raise money for those things. So.
Okay. All right, so, we'll follow up on that. 5.6, the Metro G line, we had a presentation last meeting. There's a lot of community opposition to closing the Balboa Metro Station for, RV storage. And, I just recommend people keep putting comments in on it.
Yeah, Chief Arnett, have you heard about that?
Say that one.
There's an RV,
Yes.
tow yard,
That was, at the last, mayor's office outreach, there was a lot of people opposing it. Fire department was not involved in the discussion, I just have heard about it, and, yes, I know that's a very controversial topic right now. So they're trying to find an area where they can put all of the RV campers, one location, and then at least they'll be in one spot instead of sporadically throughout. In fact, there's a transient RV population that arrives in the nighttime. If you've driven anywhere in the basin at night, you'll see the population increase with people parking along Woodley, cars in the parking lot stalls. And so they're just staying there. So it's a little campsite now.
And then they're gone during the day. They're probably.
Some stay, I'm
And
sure.
What's the legality? I know you don't deal with that.
Unfortunately, enforcement's not really our thing.
Yeah.
But,
What do you know about? Are there signs saying no overnight camping?
Unless there is a sign that says that, it's really hands off with the city.
Yeah.
They took out a step back on enforcing that.
I know. Yeah. Cause it is, as you say, it's a different issue from a homeless encampment or an RV encampment. It's like, it's a use issue, so. But
Anyhow, get, make your comments. I don't like a couple things that are so good.
thanks for bringing it up.
But let's get through the report
Yeah.
for member organizations, we'll adjourn and have a very brief meeting to approve some funding or to consider some funding for plants and tools. So, reports for member organizations, CMPS is first.
No reports this month. I've actually been kind of busy and haven't been out to many events in the park lately, but if Fuller was here, maybe they would talk about the mayor's event this last weekend, but sadly, I have no updates.
That is okay. We appreciate all that you all
We
do
do.
and, yeah.
It is looking so gorgeous over there.
I haven't been out in weeks.
And we're
so.
glad to have you back.
LA Audubon,
So nothing from LA Audubon as an organization, but I will note that the Shine LA event was great. We had a really nice turnout, wonderful to have the mayor's office out there and Commissioner from Public Works. I spoke a little bit to the group. I mentioned this meeting. I didn't really expect that any of those volunteers would come, but it was good to let them know that the committee exists if they have interest. But yeah, it was wonderful. There were a number of organizations out tabling.
What's the date on that? I'm sorry.
Saturday, November 22nd.
Okay.
It was this past Saturday. And they had some people did some educational walks with San Fernando Valley Audubon, some people did planting with CNPS, and then some people did cleanups with Fuller. And I thought it was a great success and really exciting. And then I have other comments, which I'll save for agenda item 9. I do just want to clarify from my comment from earlier. It is not that I think that what we've been dealing with as a committee as it relates to fire and homelessness in the basin have not been relevant. They're highly relevant because they have impacted the wildlife areas significantly. I'm just grateful and encouraged that we now have the right folks gathered and convened by the mayor's office, where again, we can hand these things off and we can raise the issues, but we don't have to tackle them by ourselves, which I think we've been trying to do for years. So I think that allows us to hopefully spend some more time in the committee talking about restoration plans or, you know, digging into this wildfire resilience plan that also has ecological benefits and really do more work that helps revitalize the ecosystems of the area. So I hope that makes sense. And yeah, so that's all for me.
And Dan?
Nothing from our city?
So for San Fernando Valley Audubon, I think we've only got one student field trip left, which that's RCD as well, at least this year till next year. And the Christmas bird count is December 20th. We did our first, I did mention it, our first evening birds, bats, and beer. So we did an evening bird walk at the basin. And once we found everyone, it went well until someone set a big fire by a car.
Oh my gosh.
And then on the way back, one of our,
Yeah.
yeah,
Not one of your attendees. Not one of the birders.
I don't know.
Someone
that
else
for a
set a
fact.
fire by the car.
I don't know that for a fact. And then we had another little glitch with it. Anyhow.
Yeah.
I don't want that in the recording. But it was from, people loved it. Because an interesting, just very quickly, a very interesting thing is around dusk, birds behave very differently. And we got to see probably 25 snowy egrets come into the island to roost for the night. And we only had one American white pelican, but the thing with American white pelicans, they get very busy fishing at night in the circles. And and we did see a great horned owl. So it was very cool. And Terry, do you have anything?
No, nothing.
Glenn, do you have any updates for Mencino?
Couple. So sorry, let me get Alexis up. Okay, obviously there's a timer going off. Okay, so Encino Neighborhood Council normally would meet tomorrow night and then fourth Wednesday of December, but as usual, we cancel November, December, combine them into one meeting, and that's going to be next Wednesday, December 3rd, as a combined November, December meeting. So just for those of you that might be looking at attending a meeting, and then they'll resume the fourth Wednesday in January. Secondly, the state legislature passed and the governor signed Senate Bill 707, which the neighborhood councils are tracking closely, as is the city attorney and others. And I mention this because it is revising the Brown Act such that subsidiary entities of cities and counties, such as this group, arguably, can possibly take advantage of more liberalized provisions of the Brown Act, which include as I understand it, and that's what the city attorney is working on, because there were a number of provisions that may conflict with each other, is that of people joining and participating, even if there's not a quorum present in person. So feel free to stay tuned. So you may want to put Senate Bill 707 on your next agenda. I'm not saying the special meeting, but you may want to put.
Thank you so much. I will take a look.
That is exciting.
And anyway, the bottom line is that neighborhood council has been promised analysis from city attorney, and as soon as we get that, we will that'll be shared. But not all the provisions are going to be the same or applicable. But the main thing that is important, and I will have a second chance, I guess, to talk to people like Larry, is that the authorizing action has to be taken by either the legislative body, which would be city council, but it could be interpreted that in this case of this committee, it could be the Board of Recreation and Park Commissioners. So stay tuned.
Okay.
And so this isn't just this is for all Brown Act governed bodies, like potentially DWP Commission?
Yes, anything, right. It's anything in the state of California. However, there are certain provisions that were limited to, I think, cities over, I'm not sure if it was 3 million or cities over 3. There are different provisions for different sizes, but definitely city of LA is definitely going to be included. Yes, so yes, the city, yes, DWP, all the cities, boards, commissions, advisory committees, which is why I'm mentioning it, because this would fall into that broad category. Thanks.
If you didn't have it, you could stop.
All right, do we have anything from Lake Balboa?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. The one thing I wanted to go over quickly is the metro lot, and it's something that this group may be interested in. I'm filing an appeal because the CEQA exemption was not filed. Based on that, they should not have been able to get a permit, and the zoning is questionable. It's zoned PF1XL Rio, and that's the river overlay, but it should be industrial M1, M2, M3. The concern is, it was a zero cost lease for Metro, but BASS is donating $350,000 per year for the 2 years and $849,000 for BOE to do the work to get it into shape, to accept and to put up the fences. That's coming out of the Homeless Emergency Fund, which is questionable. It doesn't house anyone. The concern is we had 2 arsonists in jail. Well, we had a fire in that area 3 weeks ago. They may be drained of gas and oil, but the interiors of these RVs go up like matchbooks. Imagine 100 of them, and that it's toxic. That those fumes are toxic. So because it is a metro lot, they want to do affordable housing, and BASS wants that money to go towards their housing, is why that lot is appealing. Also, the schedules we checked, the commuter express does not leave from Sepulveda or Reseda. It only leaves from Encino and Balboa, which means Encino is going to be inundated, and we're going to lose a very nice lot. So that's my update. And if you guys, could consider the threat of an arsonist in that area with schools, there should be an evacuation plan. If those go up, And one guard at from a security company that the LAPD oversees. If a fire happens on the other side of that metro lot and those go up, it is toxic and it can cause lung issues. So I wanted to throw that at you guys for consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's it.
Okay. The other items for consideration, we'll continue thinking about that. Do we have any other committee member comments? Agenda?
No, not for us.
Seeing none. So we're going to adjourn this meeting and we'll have a very brief meeting after it and we're adjourning this meeting in memory of our dear colleague, Melanie Winter.
Yeah, and I had a comment for this agenda item.
Yes.
The Neighborhood Council Sustainability Alliance hosted a meeting, a tribute event for Melanie on Saturday, which I attended after the Shine LA event. It was really moving and powerful to hear about Melanie's work, and Deputy Mayor Nancy Sutley spoke, Nitya Raman as well, Councilmember Nitya Raman. And it was an incredible gathering with many leaders from, water, especially LA River. Former MWD Chairman Tim Brick was there, Liz Crossan, who's the current Chief Sustainability Officer for MWD, Bruce Resnick, the waterkeeper, just an incredible group. And even Bill Nye, the science guy, who was Melanie's neighbor, and I
Yes.
used to walk with her and Maisie. So I gave formal remarks there, which I don't need to repeat in full here, but my focus was really on Melanie's truly, truly unwavering dedication to our city, to our river, to our community, and in particular to the Sepulveda Basin. So I may have shared this, I think I've shared this with Pat, but maybe not the full committee, but in Melanie's last week of life, as she was in the emergency room, literally fighting for her life, she texted me while I was traveling and was worried about missing the Sepulveda Basin Vision Plan update meeting and wanted to know if I could take notes for her, so it was really up until her very last moments that this was a focus for her and a passion, and we're gonna really miss her. I think, she was the River Project. So we'll be losing a full member organization of this committee. And I think at our meeting next week, we can talk about, how to invite other environmental organizations in, but nobody will fill Melanie's shoes in terms of her dedication and passion for the LA River. So I miss seeing Maisie's little face on Zoom as she was joining us virtually during her chemo and treatments. And I guess that's what I'll say.
Yeah. And it was a wonderful tribute. Terry was there, I was there. We had 2 past San Fernando Valley Audubon
Yeah, Dave, we
presidents.
thought I met for the
And
first
Gross.
time. Yeah.
And Muriel, did you want to say something?
I'm sorry, what are you asking me to comment
I
on?
thought your view was
Maybe your hand was raised from before.
it might have
We
been.
were just seeing if you had a hand
No,
raised.
I don't have any comment, but who has Maisie now?
Dan and Allison, dear friends and neighbors of Melanie, have Maisie, and they have another really lovely dog. And the two of them get along very well. And Dan has shared some really cute photos of Maisie. She's doing well, and I believe that he is going to bring Maisie to the celebration of life, which will take place in January or February. Exact date hasn't been set yet, but Maisie will be there to see everybody.
So there is a celebration of life in January.
There is. It will be, I think, at the same location as the tribute event at Rio de Los Angeles State Park, but I don't think the formal date and time are set yet. So
we will.
Jane Song, formerly of the WCA, thank you.